Hey everyone, it's Van here, and on today's show we're going to cover an episode of television which aired way back on November 8th, 1987. I was merely a 2-year-old boy back then, and the world has certainly changed quite drastically since. This episode touches on some very real, very violent, and very scary stuff. You should definitely consider this a trigger warning for a couple of things, including slurs against gay people, violence towards gay people, and of course the worst thing to come out of this show, Sergeant Major Jackson. You'll see. Now, we obviously condone anyone who would ever treat someone differently based on their creed, skin color, sexual orientation, or anything, really, but we do think it's important to talk about things like this, and as I've said on the show before, analyzing older shows to see how they hold up under a modern microscope I think is very important. I think intent is also exceptionally important, and while it's of course true that good intentions can cause bad things to happen and vice versa, intention is exceptionally important when looking at things like this. I can tell you with 100% certainty that the writers, actors, and producers of 21 Jump Street had very good intentions when making this episode. The whole message of the show is that violence towards anyone different than you is bad. And although this show doesn't necessarily approach these topics with the best of care, we do feel that the show at least had its heart in the right place. So join us for this journey as we try and lighten the mood and make treading these choppy waters as smooth and fun as possible. We hope that you'll tune into the show and walk away better than before you listened, and maybe, just maybe, you'll also learn to despise Johnny Depp as much as I do. Thanks.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Boob Tube Boys. Unfortunately, we're going to be discussing something a little bit awkward this week. I didn't like the show very much, and I didn't think it was funny. Normally, we have something going on here. This one's going to be a little difficult, but it is 21 Jump Street, and we're going to tackle this as a group. I was prepared to do it alone, but it seems as though I've got some people with me here. Van, what are you doing here?
Well, I have to run the equipment, and I don't trust you to properly use the XLR input into the thing with the what have you.
Oh, sure.
Because I'm so technical,
right.
Obviously.
So that's Van Lee. The other one is Brian Von. Brian, what are you doing here?
I am the guy that holds the microphones for you guys.
The boom operator.
Yeah, I'm the boom. When you look at the Boob Tube Boys credits, I show up under boom and then key grip.
Does that make Spencer the best boy?
Yes, I think that's...
It sounds like you guys are doing all the bitch work.
I guess I'm the best boy because I did do all the lighting and shit.
Yeah, you chose the show we're covering. These are your host episodes, so we have to do that sort of work.
Yeah, I guess I do kind of have that power right now. So.
Yeah, you're the one that sent out the internal memo.
Yeah, I did. I'm very professional when I send those out, too.
I saw the Boob Tube Boys hot phone activate, and I knew I had to answer it and find out what we were doing.
I woke up in a cold sweat.
It's always a big deal to transition to a new show. So this is going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. We're going to make it fun, but the episodes we talked about, as I'm going to get into a little more, again, these are a little different than what we've done before. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't realize what I was getting into with this show.
But we can blame your sister, right?
Yes, we can. She suggested these. And some of them are, I think, a little sillier than others. The ones that I picked are not.
Nope.
So
no, not at all.
We will do our best.
We
will do our best. A little bit of an overview on 21 Jump Street. As everybody, I think, knows, this is kind of where Johnny Depp got his big launching point. This is what made his career what it was. He became a teen idol from this point. It started in 87, ran to 91. There were 103 total episodes. It was on Fox. This is actually, by the way, the birth of Fox. It came on at the same time as Married with Children and Tracy Ullman Show, which, of course, was the birthplace of The Simpsons. So this was kind of a new network at the time, and these shows all came on together. They were all hits.
And this one was, from what I read, created to really give an air of adultness, I guess.
This was the first drama for Fox.
Yes, and I really thought this was more comedic. And there are elements of comedy in this. I know there are, not as much in the ones we watched, but I know that they were not always as self-serious as the ones we did.
Did we all think it was a comedy?
I
so
did.
It was
Yeah.
because of the movie?
And that's another thing I wanted to touch on is that the film adaptations, of course, in 2012 and 2014 with Jonah Hill, That's a thing that they did take a slightly less dramatic tone with. So I was not sure what we were doing here.
You didn't want to mention Channing Tatum?
I don't feel like he needs to be named.
Well,
Channing Tater. You know what?
Channing Tater.
He turned out really well as an actor. Like when I later would see. Did you ever see Hail Caesar, the Coen Brothers movie?
I have not. No.
He's in that, and he's really good. Yeah.
He was slated to be Gambit from the X-Men in a Gambit movie.
Is he the Louisiana X-Man?
And I really wanted to hear Channing Tatum do a Cajun Creole accent, but it's not going to happen.
Well,
It's canceled.
we can't do that without giving credit to Jonah Hill too, because he was in some stupid comedy roles and then also had a couple good dramatic ones as well on his own.
Oh,
Wolf of Wall Street, he was great in that.
Yeah, he was fantastic in that.
So
though, it's like, I think
You think
there
he's
are
more,
people that like Jonah Hill.
Yeah, so you feel like you need to stick up for Channing Tater.
Yeah, just because he's a big, meaty man who could be on the power team.
Who looks a little like John Cena.
Okay.
I get where you're going with it.
I
Sure.
see a little bit of it in that he's
I didn't
half
come up
man,
with
half
that.
monster.
I
Here's the problem is you can see part of that. Can't see John Cena.
I didn't honestly come up with that. That's the thing that people
Is it?
have thrown out there over the years.
How
So-
did no one tell me this?
I don't know how you guys don't notice that, but anyway, let's not get stuck on that. I want to talk about the cast real quickly. There's
Oh,
really
here's John Cena in this wrestling movie with
Yeah.
Steve Carell.
Yeah, John Cena was in
That was
21
just
Jump Street.
jarring. Do you guys remember that movie? The wrestling one with Steve Carell. He was like a wrestling
No.
coach.
Oh, I didn't watch that.
Yeah,
The Foxcatcher
I
or
did
whatever.
watch
Yes.
that movie. It was
Weird.
okay.
I
It
thought
was
it
weird.
looked weird. I
I
didn't.
thought it was all right.
Also, yeah, that had Channing Tatum, and it had.
Oh, I didn't know Channing Tatum was in that.
He was one of the wrestlers. Who else is in that? Mark Ruffalo.
X-Pac.
Yeah, X-Pac. I think all of Degeneration X.
Well, thanks for devolving that conversation here.
Degenerating it.
We've already
technically.
established on the show, yes, we've established on the show that Spencer is not a wrestling fan.
I'm
No.
not. I don't like wrestling one bit.
Unfortunately, I love it.
I mean, I'm not judging anyone. I just don't.
he's judging.
It would be okay to judge
And
me.
yeah, that's fine. That's acceptable.
Well, anyway, let's not talk about it anymore. That's all I'm going to ask. I'm not going to judge, but shut up.
Pinhole
So,
could be a wrestler. Is all
Real
I'm
quickly.
saying.
Oh, we'll get into that. I can't wait. We'll get the cast is not large in these episodes, so I just wanted to cover the main
Again,
characters.
Pinhall, pretty large.
He's not.
No, he's
though.
not. He's actually quite short.
He's
square,
not
though.
short. He's not short.
In the wrestling thing, too, they were like Johnny Depp and him were both just like stickly, like not even big people. Like they're supposed to be big, menacing.
I don't
Marines.
think Johnny Depp was supposed to be menacing. I didn't get that vibe from
Well,
it.
and we'll get on that too later.
He's more of a suave, smooth talker type. But anyway, the premise of the show: these are all young-looking cops. They're all professional police officer types, but they need to infiltrate the local school systems because the crime is just out of control at these schools, and that's a problem. It was a problem in Walker, Texas Ranger too. The high schools are out of control, and we need undercover cops to go in, pose as teenagers, and solve that shit.
And I have to assume Walker is not yet on duty yet,
No.
so they can't go to that option.
I wish they had put Walker on undercover as a teenager with his full
With his
beard. Yeah.
and- yes. Looking like an old fucking man at every point in his life.
I don't want to go to any of that because we're not
His
playing.
hound dog head.
We're not playing swap out right now, but that would be a hilarious concept. So there's just a few of the core ones. I'll introduce you to them, and I'll tell you the year they were born so you can know how old they were in actuality. They were all younger than I thought they were in this, and I don't know why that is. But
Because this first episode was 87?
Well, 87 was the first season. This is season 2. I didn't check the air date, so I'm presuming 88.
Okay.
But we're talking late 80s either way. So, of course, the main character is Johnny Depp. You guys know him from a few things. I don't know what you most associate him with.
The Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Is that right?
It's definitely
Legend of Sleepy Hollow, whatever.
I
whatever it
forgot
is.
yeah,
that
like
one, yeah.
like Malachi or whatever. You know that one
Oh,
word?
Mordecai.
More.
And it was trashed by everyone except Curtis.
Oh yeah, Van and I know a guy named Curtis. That's the background you need.
So he's the main character, Tom Hansen. He was born in 1963, so he would have been mid 20s in this. And I guess I thought he was more late 20s at this time period. He doesn't by any means look old, but
Well, they wouldn't let him on the 21 Jump Street crew if he did.
I didn't think he was even that young in this. I thought he was a little bit older by this point. So by the end of the show, he was so disenfranchised with it and so disgusted by his reputation and his fame for this that he wanted out. They released him from his contract after the 4th season. They did one without him entirely, and they had to write him out of the show.
Well, and he was so mad about. I hate Johnny Depp so much. He was mad about his contract because he's like, I'm an actor, and I want to take the roles that are perfect for an actor of my established ability. So he showed up like drunk. He would trash his trailer. He just acted like a fucking
Prima
baby.
donna. Yeah.
And then Tim Burton bailed his ass out. Most anyone does that. They're going to lose their career, but no, Johnny Depp does. So, let's put him in Batman or whatever.
Batman.
Johnny Depp already had that reputation of being both like serious actor for awards consideration and teen heartthrob at this point.
And he hated the heartthrob.
He did not like to be the teenager
but
party hated.
He could write his own ticket to do whatever he wanted, which is what he was doing. Yeah, working with only the people he wanted to. And I think they actually during season 4, he was released from his contract, right? And they had to do some.
There were a couple of firings, and he came back and fired, and he came back.
I think they let him finish out. I don't know if he filmed all the episodes, but they let him. They let him go after that season. It was after season 4.
Yeah,
so,
and they had already been prepping for it too.
I'm sure they kind of saw it coming.
What is Booker?
Okay.
Oh, it's a spinoff.
Yeah.
I didn't actually look into it. Did you?
I did, yeah. Strangely, so in season 3, they added Richard Grieco to the cast as Booker, and
Booker T.
As the wrestler Booker
the
T.
wrestler or the civil rights movement
Booker
guy.
T. Washington. They added Richard Grieco to the cast, thinking this will be kind of our next detective that gets slotted in as the main guy when Johnny Depp leaves. Johnny Depp was negotiated with to stay a little longer, and then they spun Booker off into his own show that immediately failed.
Yeah, that was one season, maybe 2. It didn't work, but that's, of course, the main character. The other ones in here, and I did not go through their IMDb too much because these are not people who had major careers. You guys might know something that they were in that I didn't catch, but these are not accomplished actors the rest of the way through. So we've got Holly Robinson playing Judith Hoffs.
Who did sing the theme song.
Oh,
This is
I didn't know
another
that.
show.
Yeah,
you guys are
yet again.
You guys are always determined to find out who sang the theme song.
It's become a thing
Whereas
now.
I don't give a fuck. I don't. I want it over with, and I want my meat and potatoes. I want my episode.
Care had Columbo sang his own theme song.
You're probably right. I wish that had happened. So she was actually born 1 year later than Johnny Depp. She was born in 1964. So
little younger.
roughly same
Okay.
age. So then we've got Peter DeLuise. I could be saying that wrong. And that is Pinhall. Pinhall is the youngest of the cast.
I believe it. He's got those soft cheeks.
Now, do either of you know, is he related to Dom DeLuise?
Yeah, apparently he is. That's the thing. I guess there's a lot of DeLuises. And one of them is even in the show as an extra character at some point. I guess this was a major acting family or something. There's just a bunch of them.
Dom DeLuise was a comedian way back when, like 60s, 70s, maybe even before that. But he played a chef, and he was over the top and goofy. And he played Pizza the Hut in Spaceballs. He had a bunch of roles like that. He was in a movie that was a parody of Silence of the Lambs called The Silence of the Hams, which I rented multiple times for video
they
players.
worked hard for that.
Boy, he was a comedic actor.
This is really interesting to note. I didn't know the DeLuises were so successful.
I would vouch that if you saw Dom DeLuise, you would go, "Oh, I think I know
probably-
him."
Yeah, I bet
it's
you're
that
right.
guy.
I
Yeah.
bet you're right.
Also, has anybody watched Spaceballs as an adult?
No.
It's been a while.
No, I
Yeah,
watched it.
I haven't.
There's
done
still
that.
a lot of funny stuff in
which-
there, but it's Mel Brooks. Blanc is the voice actor. So there's always going to be funny stuff, but there's also like a lot of poop humor, which sometimes hits, sometimes
It's
misses.
hilarious, obviously. Poop.
So
Poop.
Peter DeLuise was actually born in 1966, which would have made him very early 20s in these episodes. I didn't think that. Again, I really thought he
looks older. Yeah.
older than that. I mean, not that he looked old. I'm not disparaging the looks of Peter DeLuise.
No, he's a beautiful man. I love him.
I don't think he's beautiful.
Feathered
but we'll
bangs.
talk about that.
Mullet.
But I just didn't know he was 21 or 22 in these. Like that's crazy. So the last one is Harry Truman Aoki, who is played by Dustin
You
Nguyen.
just gloss right over that. Aoki, I'm assuming, means they're trying to make the character Japanese. Dustin Nguyen
he's
is
Vietnamese, yes.
Nguyen is very Vietnamese.
And he was
surname.
born, he's the oldest. He was born in 1962, but you couldn't tell. He looks
No.
quite young.
You're telling me that they are naming a Japanese character after Harry Truman,
Yes.
who dropped two
Who
bombs.
bombed Japan.
I don't think they noticed that.
I
but
think they did it on
I don't think so.
That's a real shitty.
I
Well,
want to
Why-
give them the benefit of the doubt, guys.
How are you giving any character, Harry Truman, anything as their name?
Right.
I did. I was very confused because his name is very long in the IMDb credits. It was Harry Truman
Yeah.
something else, Aoki.
He left
and I was
after
like,
season
what the
4
fuck
too.
is this guy's
Did he?
name?
Yeah, he got
So-
out of there.
This is the main core group right here. And of course, we see the captain, Adam Fuller, in both of these episodes briefly.
Who's by far the coolest guy on this?
He
entire-
makes
Stephen
sure
Williams.
shit gets done.
Stephen Williams, do you guys recognize him from any other roles at all?
He
was in
looked
something
super
called The
familiar.
Equalizer.
Equalizer. I think that's where I remember him from.
And-
I've seen him in other stuff.
He looked
but,
familiar.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't. When I looked at it, I didn't recognize it, so I didn't write it down. I was
Hmm.
like, I don't think this is really important. But that's Stephen Williams. I did not write down his birth year because he's not going undercover, so we don't need to know how
Oh,
old
he's
he is.
older anyway. He's
Yeah.
a little
He's
bit
a-
of an
he's
older
supposed
brother
to be.
father figure.
He's the captain. He's in charge of everyone. That is the main core. Everyone else in these episodes is guest starring.
Also, apparently there was a different captain when the show started.
Yeah, I think there were a
Oh.
couple.
and he was killed off.
I think there
in
were,
a car
yeah.
crash.
They just didn't like that actor, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't really care to delve too deep into the 21 Jump Street backstory. So this is the premise of the two episodes. We're going to cover the cast that you need to know. The second one, by the way, which we'll get into later in the week, hardly any of them are in it. So that's going to be a whole
Yeah,
different
you might
thing.
as well just be watching a different show.
It felt like that. And it wasn't a good choice on my behalf. But once I picked it, we have to go with it and make it work, and we're going to. I have a few other facts here, and then we'll get into this first episode. The first one's going to be Season 2, Episode 8, Honor Bound. But before we start into that, I want to tell you a couple other things here, which is Johnny Depp made $45,000 per episode in this time period of the show.
And that's a lot of money back then.
That had to have
That's
been a
lot.
ton.
That's a lot. He was clearly the major attraction here.
I mean,
And-
that's a lot of money to me right now. So
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
45,000 would change my entire life, and that's
It's like
what some
2
people would
years
say.
of what I make working.
and it's just one time. If someone gave me 45 grand once,
Yeah.
like I could do enough.
And he
to
just
have
did
me
that.
for a while.
That'd be
He
great.
did that on a weekly basis.
And hated it. And he's like, oh, I've got to be in whatever with the headless horseman. Oh, I'm so important.
Ichabod Crane.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hated the reputation as a teen idol. He couldn't stand it. I think he felt it was beneath him. Is that
I
what he...
think that's exactly how he felt. Yeah.
I would never be in this filth. Someone put me in the Alice in Wonderland remake.
I'm going to play a wacky character, which is not at all human.
I'm going to be in Finding Neverland and be totally normal with kids.
And that was a fucked up movie because that J.M. Barrie guy was a total pedophile.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I did watch that, by the way. But that's, again, let's not devolve too much into Johnny Depp things here. The last thing I want to say, and I figured this out after the fact, this show is known for tackling serious issues, which we saw.
Yeah.
You guys
did-
know
yeah,
that
they
now.
did that.
That was its reputation, and I did not know that. I had no idea. They actually ended some shows with the cast members giving PSAs.
I
Interesting.
read that also, which is, it makes so much sense
Yes.
now, having watched these, that you tackle the theme of the week like a news show would, and then afterwards you show your big star being like, hey, it's me, speaking from the heart.
You know
the
what's not
actual
okay
star.
is beating up gays.
Yeah, you know what? You should not actually murder anyone in the streets, no matter who they're having sex with.
I'm not a police officer, but I play one on TV.
Again, I cannot say this enough to the listeners. I did not know what I was getting us into, and it's my sister's fault. So,
But I like this because it's deep, and we can really kind of dive into some of the goofy quirks that we see.
We're gonna try.
But
Yeah.
also, I mean, the message in this is good. It's pure.
Of course.
It's that, hey, why are we hurting other people for being different in any way? So the way they go about doing it is a little funky, but the message is good. So
and
I
you have to
appreciate
remember
that.
the time period. They were
Absolutely.
going into some pretty serious topics at a time period where not everyone was. They were very aware in that sense, and they should be lauded for that. I appreciate the fact they were tackling these serious subjects, and I think that it's going to be a challenge for us to present it in this day and age without it being offensive. So we're not going to use the terms that they used in the show. We're going to play clips of it. And in no way, when we laugh at any of this, are we trying to make light of the commentary that's going on here. We're just trying to bring some levity to a very dark situation and try to tackle the issues in this show in the best way possible, where it's entertaining and also informative. And we want to be sensitive as well.
Speak for yourself. It's just going to be slurs for me here on out. Not even related to the show, just random slurs.
They'll just be anything that enters your mind at any given time. What you think of the Italian people.
I mean, that's every podcast. I always have my diatribe. We usually cut that for time, though.
Yeah.
Not for content.
No,
for
just
time.
for time.
Without further ado, let's begin with the plot synopsis, which we have to do so you guys who didn't watch the show, which is everybody, knows what we're talking about.
Available on Tubi for free.
It is, and Tubi has everything, so...
Tubi, get a hold of us.
We love you, Tubi. So it opens at Milestone's bar.
Fuck you, Pluto.
Are we going there? Are we starting a... wow, this is going to be a thing, Tubi versus Pluto.
Where I was when
Are
the
you a-
Tubi-Pluto wars began. Did you guys know that before Fox, the last rival to the big three networks was something called the Dumont Television
Oh,
Network
I've heard all about
in
that.
1956?
Yes, I know all about
Dumont?
Yeah.
That sounds like something from the 50s.
They were huge, and then they died out of nowhere.
What do they have?
That's a thing. This is old, like a long time ago.
Yeah, so it's like...
So Fox was a big deal, and they stuck around.
Well, obviously, they are rather huge.
I don't know if you guys listening know this, but they are still around today.
What's the
Now,
Australian
Disney-
asshole that owns it?
Oh,
Rupert
yeah.
Murdoch.
Rupert
Yeah,
Murdoch. Now,
just
Disney does own Fox now, correct? Disney owns everything,
Well, yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, we're down to just the one company.
But they are,
Yeah.
they're still known
It's
as
a
Fox. But Disney's
subsidiary.
basically like, yeah, you belong to us now, but you're still Fox. Don't worry. They're there. Let's try this again. At Milestone's bar in the middle of the night. It's probably 9 o'clock. It's late at night. We're in this fictional city in 21 Jump Street, which is, by the way, the address of the police station, in case you guys were wondering.
Yeah, what were they originally going to call it? It was like Jump Street
Something they
Cathedral?
were worried was going to sound religious, so they
Yeah, because
changed
they
the name.
operate out of a church building.
This is the opening scene. We've got two presumably gay friends. They're conversing over drinks. These two people are Woody and Denny, and they have a little conversation. It's a little silly. They're bantering back and forth. And
Don't leave it at that.
I do
He's
wanna leave it at
arguing
that.
about the price of bananas. Does he not know how restaurants work?
Did he-
They don't just give you the food that cost.
No,
did
and
he
you can't
order
really
a banana
negotiate.
at a
He
restaurant?
did. That's the implication. He's like, how much does a banana cost? A dime? Well, why are they charging me $1.50 for it?
Oh, that is a lot in '88. In the year 1988, the currency for a banana.
Why isn't this restaurant selling me its products at cost?
Denny leaves after they have their goodbye, and this happens fast. This episode really doesn't pull any punches. Right away we happen across
Gives you a lot of punches.
we happen across Denny leaving the restaurant, and he's savagely attacked. This is where you get a sense of what's going on here.
Hey, what the what?
Lights out, Meg.
There we have a clear sign that these are hate crimes. These are hate crimes. We've got somebody targeting gay people in the community, and they are just beating the shit out of them.
Now, see, I thought that they were just mad that the guy spoiled that movie he was talking about at dinner because he was like, we were waiting for the girl to scream, and it turns out the guy's not paying attention to his conversation. He's talking about bananas.
I thought it might be a banana lobbyist.
I was going to say, yeah, maybe it was somebody who was upset that why wouldn't she pay $1.05 for a banana or whatever.
But no, it's America. It's just a bigot.
It was Chiquita herself. She's assaulted him.
So we transitioned from here to the hospital because Denny got the shit beat out of him just there. He's in the hospital. Harry and Judy are there with him, interrogating him. They're asking him, what happened? What did you see? Who beat the shit out of you? And he doesn't know much. Denny is in a bad state. He doesn't know much. All he can really tell him is it sounded like a kid. It sounded like somebody young, and that's kind of the tipping point for them. Like, oh, we should investigate a military academy. But they're talking Judy and Harry after they leave the hospital room, and Judy tells Harry, "This is her words, 5 gay bashings in recent memory. This is a trend at this point."
I'll read you the line because I wrote it down.
Yeah, it is.
The female cop says, that's 5 gay bashings in the last 2 months, Harry. These guys are on a roll. 2 things. 1, gay bashing is like, I hate gays. It's verbal. It's usually not bludgeoning
Physical,
gays.
Yeah.
physical gay bashing.
Although I guess bashing really
I mean,
is more of a
it can
physical.
work. It's appropriate. And then 2, they're not bowlers with
they're
8
not-
strikes in a row.
They're not Joe DiMaggio.
They're on a roll, guys.
They're really hitting their peak form right now. They're bashing those gays better than ever right now.
They're committing hate crimes at an unforeseen clip. They're going to set the record.
Now, I need to butt in here real quick.
Oh, sure.
because,
Please do.
Look, these are some heavy topics we're talking, and I think that occasionally we're going to need to bring some levity in it, kind of even out the feeling, the aura of the show. So periodically, I'm going to be interjecting and giving you guys facts, clips, different things relating to the shows we've recently done.
Okay,
So
I
to
see. Lighten the mood.
And that's exactly what I wrote, lighten the mood, jokes and topics. So I'm going to play for you right now, If You Lean on Me, the song from California Dreams.
All night long, and if you lean on me, I will lean on you. Put your hand in mine, we can make it through. I'll be your backbone girl, shelter from the storm. When it's cold outside, I will keep you warm. Yeah.
I hope this lightened the mood a little for you. And there's more to come.
So you don't want to play Daddy Said? Isn't that the other?
Mama Said.
Mama
Daddy
Said.
Said is actually on a future album of theirs. It's like a sequel,
Maybe
a
that's the
spiritual
more.
successor.
Maybe that's the more culturally aware one, where a daddy or a mommy could say.
Yeah,
it.
it could be either one. This song, though, Van picked out is a Matt song, so it came
I
from
don't
the
like
first
it.
2 seasons
That's
of
why
the
I
show.
don't like it.
When you say picked out, you make it sound like I was like, ooh, I want this one.
Well,
this is what I stumbled
you were
across.
jamming out to the CD in your car, the CD.
Everyone wants the California Dreams soundtrack. By the way, we've made that clear.
All right, please continue.
I don't want to. I think we should just continue to talk about that song. Harry and Judy, they meet Woody outside, who's coming to visit Denny in the hospital. This is the thing where cops can be nice too. They tell him, you know what, you go ahead and go on and visit him, police business. So that's the favor they give to Woody. He goes in and visits Denny. That's the end
Which,
of that
why
scene.
wouldn't he have been able to?
They
Family only.
I think, yeah, Woody's
Oh, that's
very,
right, they mentioned
I feel
that.
like there was a context there where Woody was acting like they kind of were resentful of the fact that there was the gay element, though, because he was like, they
Yeah.
won't let me.
Well, because he wouldn't be recognized as family. If they were married, they still wouldn't be family in that
Now,
time.
did you guys get the sense that they were together? I thought they were just friends.
I thought they were together.
I also thought they were together, but I don't know if that's because it's a television show. So
Well, and they can only do so much at that time. Yeah, they
Sure.
couldn't have them actually be together. So I thought they were just close. I thought they were just really good friends who were both
they
gay.
never touched each other's penises
No.
on the screen.
No,
Right.
unfortunately. That's the end of that scene. The cops are really nice. They let Woody go in and visit Denny, who
69 Jump Street.
may or be not.
Also, if they wanted to be progressive, that's what they would do, is have these guys doing stuff together.
Yeah. Just
Well-
dicks in hands.
Easy to say progressive when it's so long ago, though. It was really,
Yeah, like any of that would have ever happened in 1988.
No.
or now.
Or now, yeah, seriously.
So now we cut to the station. Captain Fuller has a very good diagram on the board about these crimes. He's got it all mapped out. It's a lot like what they did when Jack the Ripper was killing all those people. He's got all the locations of the crime. He's saying, here's what's happening. Here's what's going on. I actually didn't catch how they figured out it was the military academy. I wasn't sure, but they
that's a good
figure
point.
it out here.
Yeah.
At this point, Captain Fuller knows that they got a few hints or whatever, but for some reason, they just know, hey, it's this military academy. We got to go undercover. The assignments here, Penhall and Hansen, that's Peter DeLuise and Johnny Depp, they are assigned to the academy. They have to go in here and figure what's going on.
Undercover mission.
That's right. It's time to go undercover. There's another part of this, which is that Harry, that's the Vietnamese actor, he has to go undercover in Milestones in the bar posing as a gay person.
What do they
As
call him? Bait?
Decoy.
Decoy. That's
Decoy,
it.
yeah.
It wasn't quite as violent
Yeah.
as bait.
Well,
So-
decoy's not that flattering either.
It's not. And Harry doesn't like it. He says, what am I supposed to wear? And then that's where Judy gives him shit. Gays don't have a dress code, Harry.
Which that's, by the way, a weird message for this show to put out there, considering all the weird kicky outfits they have wearing. Particularly the gay guy who his partner was just hurt, or friend at the very least. We see him again later wearing what I can only imagine is an ad executive sitting down saying, let's make him gay. And they put that on. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you might as well have
Some of
been
that
like
was-
wearing leather pants with like a flap in the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
some of that was pretty surface level for sure. But again, this is 1988.
Also, how like this is also 80s fashion in general. So
Yeah.
I mean,
all that was wrong in the beginning. like,
everything
to
we're
start
looking
with.
at is blocky and made of materials you shouldn't make anything out of.
A lot
Even
of
these-
pastel, too.
Yeah.
Even these super attractive people, and these are genetically blessed people, just look awkward in these episodes. Like everybody, even Johnny Depp, it's kind of like, what are you? What's going on
I
right now?
still ask that about Johnny Depp.
Even Pinhall, it's like, I see that we have a stack of Lego blocks with mashed potatoes stuffed in it, but why the haircut?
Pinhall looks like David Hasselhoff melted a little, but also David Hasselhoff looks like he melted a little. So it's like
Yeah.
2 layers of melting.
Like David Hasselhoff, but you put some books on his head to make sure he stays short.
Now we get to transition to the academy, the military academy, where the bad guys are operating out of. We finally get to the scene of the, well, I don't want to say the crime, but where it's all originating from. And we get the introduction that Pinhall and Hansen have. 2 very different things. I want to talk about these in turn. Pinhall gets to meet Sergeant Major Jackson. We will be talking a lot about Sergeant Major Jackson
And his tiny nose.
over the course of this.
I would like to state one thing about Sergeant Major Jackson.
You'll have plenty of chances,
right
but go
up
ahead.
top. This guy is an asshole.
Yeah, 100%.
And is not written that way. He is meant to be a very likable, good guy, I can tell.
Well, he's the one that helps Pinhall throughout
Right,
the
and
episode.
we'll talk about that. But they actually thought they were writing a good guy, and he is awful. He is
He's just the
absolutely
worst.
awful. He's a very serious guy. He takes his academy training very seriously. He's headed to West Point.
You know, I'm going to say it. I like the guys who beat up gay people more than this guy. At least they have convictions.
That's
I guess
the
he
whole
has
crux.
convictions,
not
but
not the good
not
kind.
good
Sergeant
ones.
Major
Right.
Jackson is full of conviction to do his robotic duty.
Yeah.
Well, he's headed to West Point. He's a 3rd generation Army in his
Oh,
family.
good.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave it at that. He's a 3rd generation Army, is how I'm going to say it. Yeah,
Army of
he's
one.
from a military family, and that's his life. That's everything he's ever known, and he takes it seriously. And you can tell, right? He's pretty serious about that with Pinhall from the beginning. So Pinhall, of course, is not suited for military life, and it shows.
No.
That's the one light note this episode takes, is you can see Pinhall's not cut out for this. He hates it.
And they do a little bit of comedic elements with him with his hair.
Yeah,
there's
Pinhall's
oh,
not cutting his hair.
Don't worry. We're going to talk about all of that. Now, Hansen, on the other hand, he meets Commandant Max McGee, who I presume runs the place. I couldn't really tell the hierarchy. He's the head boss, and Hansen has, I think, a little bit more of a reputation they made up for him, where he came from a military family too, but has been kind of, McGee calls him a screw up.
Well, he's been sent here. What I gathered is he's been sent here to kind of reform him because he got into trouble at the
And
last.
he got demoted.
Yeah,
and demoted.
He
Yeah.
has a rude tude, and it needs to be,
But he has
erased
the,
at
he has
this
the
military
genes to
place.
succeed in
Yes.
that. So they're like,
Yeah, he has the pedigree. He
Right.
just needs to be smoothed out around the edges.
Johnny Depp's way of pretending to be this arrogant asshole is just to chew gum.
oh man,
That's all he
Okay.
does.
I had that on my notes. Why'd you have to spoil it? Yeah,
I had it
I
on
don't
my
think
notes
he
first.
ever stops chewing gum
It's
the
just-
entire episode.
I think it worked.
Yeah, I mean, I did the trick. I hate him so much.
McGee gives Hansen some tough love, and they're undercover names. It's Harmon and I forget, Harrison, I think. They're going under. They have pseudonyms, so they're not really them at this point. They're undercover, and nobody knows who they really are. McGee says you need to get your shit together. There's a really important thing here called the honor code. Don't lie, cheat, or steal. And I'm going to give you your old rank back. I don't think you can keep it because you suck, and you're going to have to prove yourself to me. Tough love to motivate is what I wrote down there. That was the 2 introductions to the show. So you get to meet Sergeant Major Jackson and Commandant Max McGee in these scenes.
You know, as we get into this, it's going to get a little darker.
Yes.
So let's lighten the mood a little, shall we?
Yeah.
Sounds
Just
good.
a little bit more. And I have something from Alf that I'd like to share with you.
Don't
It is-
you always?
It is, in fact, a song that Alf performed on the show called You're the One Who's Out of This World.
I may be an unknown from the Twilight Zone, but you're the one who's out of this world. You're the one who's out of this world, sweet baby. You're the one who's out of this world. I'm spinning in an orbit I ain't never been in, because you're the one who's out of this world.
That's Alf
Okay.
singing.
Whoa.
So
Woo,
I'd like
delightful
to
vocalist.
remind both of you that you're the one who's out of this world.
Well, thank you.
Actually, though, you lighten the mood, but the show lightens the mood because it senses that right now. Pinhall has his first haircut appointment with Ralph the barber. he has a very lame excuse here where he says, oh, you know what? I gave the tailor the wrong hat size. I don't want to look like a dweeb on my first day. So he rushes off, says, we'll do this later.
Did you think that barber was going to drug him and sell his organs on the black market? Because that's what I thought.
I would like to talk about why he was so protective of his hair. Do you guys have any idea?
Because it's awesome, I
You
think.
liked
Yeah.
it. So you
He has a
approve.
mullet. I mean, it's pretty cool. I think, yeah, definitely it takes a long time to grow out something like that, I would imagine. And then, like, he's had it permed a lot, clearly. So the money he spent on perming it, the time on growing it out, and he doesn't want a military buzz cut. If someone tried to give me that, I'd be like, get out of here with that.
Plus,
I noticed that like hardly anyone had it in this episode,
No.
though. His was obviously longer than everyone else's, but they didn't buzz Johnny Depp's head.
No.
They didn't tell him he needed to. So is it just Pinhall because he had the ponytail or whatever?
well, the thing is, short hair wouldn't look good with his shark tooth earring that he has. So he didn't wanna do it.
Now, I'm confused as to why they didn't ask Johnny Depp to do the haircut, since he's the demon barber of Fleet Street. But also, he has scissors for hands.
Edward Scissorhands, yeah. These are some good points. So what we find out right away is that Hansen's going to be the one to break into the tough crowd. He's going to find...
He's going to be the bad guy.
He's going to be the one who uncovers this operation, who's beaten up, we'll say this gently, who's targeting the homosexual crowd. He makes a big show in the cafeteria right away, instantly. And I put a note here, but you already said it. He's constantly chewing gum as he talks.
You better start looking over your shoulder, Pinhead.
Good idea. Bad timing. My old school, we take a guy like that, hold him down, cut his hair off with a hunting knife.
By the way, he didn't even say, yeah, I'm going to kiss you goodbye after this whole thing went
After
down.
those kiss noises, even.
That was targeted toward Pinhall because he's going to use Pinhall to get in
You
on
mean
the
Pinhead?
bad boy side. and that's Pinhall saying, look over your shoulder, because Hansen's going to say, you know, help me out here, partner. I'm going to be a badass to you so that the bad boys know that I'm bad. And what's funny about this, and I don't know if you guys know this, but the accent he's using there is supposed to be a Kentucky accent.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. Johnny Depp was born in Kentucky.
I only know that because of the same reason as you.
You looked? Yeah.
I looked at what the accent was supposed to be. Apparently, that's his native accent.
I just noticed that it sounded a little strange. Like I didn't think that that's
he puts
how...
the drawl on. This is also 2 straight episodes of our show where someone goes undercover and has to act tough, like the guy that went undercover into the drug operation in Walker, the police officer.
Also, it's not straight episodes either because we had Xena and Hercules between these.
But, you know, we've
yeah,
done
it's
so
like
many.
in the same year.
Yeah.
Ah, fair enough.
You know, the same season. We haven't changed seasons.
Wait, straight episodes?
Oh, well, this isn't that.
Whoa!
There was a thing I wanted to point out here. Johnny Depp says something horrible, and it's racist.
It's to the black guy. He says we go to the dark side of town.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the black guy stands up and he says, you think that's funny? And he storms off. He's clearly mad because the other guy's being racist.
Yeah.
The other guy says, this guy's got no sense of humor.
Not a
Says
stitch.
the racist after saying very racist things.
Man, that's what racists always do. Is they're like, man,
a joke.
yeah, take
Why can't
it
you
easy.
take a joke? Why don't you just get picked on forever for stupid things and be okay with it? That's the big thing Hansen's doing. He knows he has to get in on this bad boy side, so he's going all out. He doesn't believe in any of it, but that's what he's doing. That's the end of that scene. We cut back to Milestones with Harry playing decoy. This is funny to Judy. This is funny because Harry's doing such a good job of pretending to be gay that he gets hit on by a bar patron.
This is the only part in the episode that fell super flat to me.
Okay.
And particularly with this character, the Vietnamese actor, because his character
You don't think he's attractive? You wouldn't hit on him?
I think he's a cute, good-looking guy. What I think is every time his character has to do something with the gay, it's disgusting.
Yeah, a lot of revulsion
don't-
of like,
I-
ew, I'm supposed to be gay.
I think it mostly just meant he didn't understand it, but I get that you felt that way.
Yeah.
At least he didn't seem to actually, he's not homophobic, but
No.
he's very uncomfortable with it.
He would be the people in that time who don't understand it. They're
yeah,
just
but-
like being
yeah.
gay is a disease. It's scary, that sort of thing.
Yeah, he seemed like he didn't have anything against him, but certainly doesn't want to try to get it in any sense. So anyway, he gets hit on. Judy comes in, laughs at him, makes fun of him. Ha ha. Are you sure you're not giving any signals to these gay people? They're all like you, apparently. Harry, you are a gay magnet. Something like that, essentially. The main thing here is the guy who hits on him goes outside, and he's the next victim, or soon-to-be victim. Because Harry leaves on his own and sees he walks in on this, and they're beating the shit out of another guy. Harry tries to jump in and save him, is not successful because, again, there's 3 of them. There are 3 of these people from the military academy who are beating the shit out of these guys, and he can't quite save it. Judy comes out, does her best to help. She can only do so much. They run away. They can't really identify all of them. They get a look at one of them enough, but this isn't a great breakthrough for the case, and Harry's seriously hurt in the process.
Poor Harry in this instance, too, because he does come to the guy's aid, and again, he gets drilled by that 3-on-1 advantage.
Yeah, it's an unfair fight. What happens next is we find out that Captain Fuller really wants to pull Hansen to come to the hospital and reconvene on this stuff, so he calls posing as Hansen's father. They get Hansen out. He visits the hospital so they can discuss this situation. He wants him to bring a yearbook because Harry did make one of the perps, and they're going to ID him. Hansen gets leave because he pretends it's a family emergency and he has to go, so he gets to leave the academy. He goes to the hospital where he immediately makes fun of Harry for losing that 3-on-1 fight. Did you slip on a banana peel or something? I guess
10-cent banana peel.
I guess this is
Again with bananas.
a recurring banana trope in this thing, yeah. What happens is Harry recognizes Demarest as one of the assailants. He recognizes him from the yearbook.
Good racist name. Or bigot name, I guess.
He can't ID the other 2, and at that point, Hansen's saying, okay, well, we'll lean on Demarest and we'll get him to reveal the other 2. This is where Fuller tells them what the honor code really means, which is the theme of this episode. It's not don't lie, cheat, or steal. It's don't rat on your buddies at all costs.
Protect them at every cost.
No matter
Yeah.
what they did.
What happens in military academy stays in military academy.
The words honor code here are a little bit loosely used.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like that's honor in any way.
You might argue that most of the people at this military academy are terrible.
We've gotten to this. We're going to get back to a lighter scene when we return, and I'm sure Van's got some more light moments for you, but let's take a quick break first, and then we'll get back to it.
Don't need permission to decide what you believe. You gotta learn something when we meet you at school. Say jump down on Jump Street.
Now that we're back, why don't we go ahead and lighten up the mood a little? Huh? What do you guys think?
I think we should stack some more light before
I want it as dark as possible.
we head into hell.
Well, this time, for Columbo, I have gathered some facts for you. Now, unfortunately, we've covered a lot of the Columbo facts, so instead what I did, loosely related to Columbo, is I found some Donald Pleasance facts.
Oh, good.
Okay, those are good kinds of facts.
So I have a couple here for you, and then we'll get back into the show. During World War II, Pleasance was sent to serve in the Royal Air Force. He was born in Britain, by the way. I looked that up. So he was in the Royal Air Force, World War II. His plane was shot down in August of 1944, and he was placed in a German POW camp.
What?
Yeah, for a while. And then he was released
That's
from the war.
crazy.
He actually went on to play Heinrich Himmler in the 1976 movie The Eagle Has Landed, and people loved it. They thought he did such a great
He's
job.
probably great
I
as
bet he
an
is.
evil person.
It's a great actor.
My second fact is Donald Pleasance was originally cast as Blair in John Carpenter's remake of The Thing, the 1982 movie.
That is really
Oh.
cool.
Wilford Brimley's
Which I have
character.
seen.
He had to turn it down or couldn't do it or something or other, so it went to Wilford Brimley.
I like The Thing. It's a good
yeah,
movie.
the thing is good.
One of my favorite horror
It's
movies.
really good.
Hands down. And then my final Donald Pleasance fact is that he did not want to do Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. He said, I've had
Huh,
enough
wonder why.
at this point.
Well, he had a good sense of when enough was enough.
But he ended up doing it because he was supposedly tricked
Donald.
by producers. Producers told him that Halloween 4 had been read by John Carpenter himself and had hailed it as the best in the series. Carpenter
Oh.
had at this point, in fact, not read it at all and never read it. He didn't like the movie, didn't have anything to do with it. So they tricked Donald Pleasance into playing his role of Dr. Loomis once again. So there you go.
69 cent a movie Halloween franchise.
This is fantastic, and now I want to watch everything Donald Pleasance was in.
I recommend Puma Man, which I'm going. By the way, we're going to watch. We're not going to do it this weekend, but we'll do it next weekend. So
Yeah.
we'll talk
Yeah.
Puma Man then.
Let's
Excellent.
definitely do that. Another light scene here. Let's double up on the lightness and then forget about what we're going to be doing later in the week, by all means. So Pinhall's very bad at Army life. Did you guys notice that? You just notice he's not very...
It seems like he doesn't want to be there.
I don't think he likes the regiment. I don't think he
No.
likes the routines, getting up at 5 o'clock. Sergeant Major Jackson's doing that his whole life. But
Yeah.
Pinhall doesn't like that.
Well, that's because Pinhall is cool. Sergeant Major Jackson
I don't know if
sucks.
Pinhall's cool, but yeah,
He has a mullet and a tough guy attitude. I bet you he rolls stuff up in his sleeves.
So he's bad at the drills, and they yell at him about that. His hair still isn't cut because he got out of that the first time because he didn't want to look like a dweeb. And when they penalize him, he can't even do the 20 push-ups. And Sergeant Major Jackson lets him know, look, I'm here to help you, but that doesn't mean I like you. And that's where we see another shade of Jackson. They want him to seem well-meaning, but
Yeah.
job first,
He's
army
rigid.
first, right.
And I wrote down for this scene, my notes, scream, 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 military jargon, scream, scream, scream. And I think that covered it.
Yeah.
That totally does.
And it was supposed to be funny because Pinhall is just so bad at all of it. So that's the lighthearted
And
part
Pinhall screams back, of course.
Oh, the second
While
thing I wrote
doing
down
push-ups.
was, God, I hate the fucking military.
there. It's awful.
Yeah, and it's portrayed in this episode, too. Again, as Spencer has said, unintentionally, it really kind of damns military behavior.
They're trying to glorify it in some way. So what happens here, the big thing that goes on in this scene that I missed actually the first time I watched this, because I did watch it multiple times, Pinhall sneaks in the guard station after this and finds the curfews that Jackson has been signing in, and he sees that he signed in our 3 combatants, our 3 bad
Perpetrators
boys,
or whatever.
yeah, the ones who are committing these crimes, which is Demarest, Hudson, and Adderley. Those are our 3 perps.
Bunch
and
of bigot names there. Every Demarest, Addison, and something I've seen. Bigot.
He sees it and he knows that something's not right with that. Then, after that, has to get a second haircut attempt, which he gets away from this time by smashing Ralph the barber's glasses,
Okay.
stepping on them.
Pinhall was panicked at this point. And what else was he supposed to do? It's either lose the mullet or take the man's personal property
Smash
and
an
break
old
it.
man's glasses. Yeah, it was really horrible, honestly. That was the second little thing where Pinhall is supposed to get his hair cut, and he just won't. He's too clever. He's going to get out of that, so his hair stays the way it is. We transition to an awkward wrestling scene. A very awkward wrestling scene with armpit humor, because the coach is telling him, put your head right in his armpit.
And Pinhall's like, he likes armpits.
And then,
Which
of
is that a
course,
thing?
I think it is.
I'm sure it is.
So the coach says, you know what, Pinhall? Why don't you show us what you've learned from this? And he makes him do King of the Mountain drill.
And so Pinhall hikes up his pants as high as he can. He does.
And does pretty well.
Yeah, does
he,
great.
He beats a couple of people at King of the Mountain drill where Hanson steps in chewing his gum and says, can I take a shot?
And finally wearing a stupid costume. Johnny Depp's been waiting this whole time. He's got a headband
This could have been
on.
where it started. I'm surprised he didn't lobby for more hats and scarves.
So the big trick here is that Hanson doesn't want to do King of the Mountain drill. He just wants to impress the bad boys. So he just straight up punches Pinhall when they
Straight
start
in
the
the
drill.
head with a big meat-packing sound effect.
Yep. Yeah, he punches him, knocks him out, and he says, I won, didn't I? Because the coach is pissed. Now, he's not in any trouble, mind you, but he says, you do that again, Hanson, you're out of here. That is the way that Hanson officially seals the deal with our bad boy group. And they are ready to invite him into their shenanigans, if we want to call it that.
I was kind of hoping at some point Pinhall would get his comeuppance on Johnny Depp and just punch him right back.
I think he was just willing to take that role in the episode.
At some point here, the bad guys, speaking to Johnny Depp, says, one of them says something along the lines of whoop your butt. No military person would ever say that. Now, that's a censor thing for TV. But
Yeah.
it was jarring to me. We're going to go whoop his bottom.
It is really crazy to have, a group of people who are
Beating up
committing
gays.
hate crimes and then say whoop your butt.
What if they did the thing where they're like, we're gonna beat your A.
Yeah,
Like
we're
they
gonna
won't say it, they just say
we're
the
gonna
letter.
beat the S out of your A.
So Hanson realizes he's in on this operation. He tries to tip Pinhall off in the locker room, does the best he can. They get interrupted because everyone thinks they're about to fight again. They're falling for that thing.
You mean in the locker room where Pinhall is wearing his towel like a middle-aged housewife trying to seduce the gardener? Why is it so high up?
I don't know. That was a really weird thing. I have to assume Pinhall's like me or something, and he's like, I don't need to show him the goods.
Yeah, I mean, Pinhall doesn't really need to show the goods. You know it's there. Anyway, at this point, Adderley, who is the leader, by the way, Richard Adderley, Rick is what the credits say. He's the leader of the group. He's impressed. He invites him in. Hanson tips Pinhall off the best he can. Pinhall knows he needs to let headquarters know what's going on, so he can't get to the phone bank because there's a huge line of people making calls to their families. He can't get in there, so he has to break into an office to make a call from a landline. Turns out it's Commandant McGee's office, which he figures out right as soon as he gets in there.
course.
We immediately see them know that he is in there, and it's Sergeant Major Jackson, of course, who catches him and says, "You're coming with me." And then that's a cutscene right there. We're left wondering what's going to come of this.
I actually found myself getting frustrated by Penhall getting in trouble very often because every time I was thinking about if it were me and how, like, basically the first time they were like, we're going to cut your hair, I'd be like, yeah, I'm a cop. I would just blow my own
immediately
cover.
cave. Yeah. And he really kind of does just let it get blown. Because he
does,
doesn't
yeah.
try hard enough to stay there. It's clear he doesn't want to be there, so he just kind of lets
It
stuff
made me
happen.
like Penhall. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't like Penhall for some reason.
It's his face.
He's more likable than most of the people, maybe everyone in that episode, but he's not likable. Now we're left in suspense after Penhall gets caught. And we join Hansen as he's on the search and destroy mission with Adderley Hudson and Demarest.
Yeah, I was kind of stressed out here.
All we find out here in this first scene of that, Hansen's trying to figure out, like, what do you guys do? What's your process?
Yeah.
What's going on? How'd you get in past the curfew? You know, he's needling. He's trying to find information, and he's being subtle. They absolutely admit Jackson covered for us. Jackson covered for us when we got back, and that's a big reveal in that scene.
And it really shows that they trust Hansen at this
They know,
point.
yeah. They believe that he did a great job undercover. Good job, Johnny Depp. So we're back to the academy there where we find out what happens to Penhall. In the middle of the night, they have awoken McGee because someone used his fucking phone. He immediately kicks Penhall out of the academy for using the phone in his office. They did not kick out Hansen for punching Penhall in the face in a King of the Jungle whatever drill, and then they kick out Penhall instantly because he used a phone.
Got to be honest, I think the military has bad rules.
Yeah, I think they might want to restructure some of these.
This is actually, I don't know if you guys noticed this. You're probably not as nuanced as I am. So what happens here is Penhall is very sarcastic about being kicked out, and he's about done. He's about to do what you said.
Yeah,
which
just
is
say,
about to
I
be
don't
like,
need this shit.
I am a cop. He doesn't do it here, but he is very sarcastic about it. Like, okay, so I can't call my father, which is who he's pretending to call. But now that I'm kicked out, I can call my father. That's his big line to McGee, who just immediately goes up the stairs and he goes back to bed because that's what military men do when somebody smirks at them with their humor as they walk away.
I did kind of wish that McGee had one of those little sleeping caps on and then like a full pajama suit.
Penhall gets one last little line in here. He says, guess I don't have to get my hair cut in now.
Yeah.
And Jackson laughs. Did you see that?
No,
Jackson
I actually did
smiles
miss
at him
that.
like he thinks it's funny.
So he does have a soul and
I
personality.
think he's always, there's an implication that Jackson does like Penhall, but he can't let him know because he's likable and he's a military guy. That's that for now. We go back to the cruising. The group has homed in on their target, and they're telling Hansen what to do. It's called Gambit, where he has to...
Oh, mon chéri, let me charge this card and throw it at things.
Oh, I'm the Jambalaya X-Man.
Look at my stick that I have for some reason.
He has to come up to their target and make him think he needs to run the opposite direction. The three of them are right behind him waiting.
I think they call him the bait. This is where they call someone the
That
bait.
could be, yeah. Yeah, that could be. So he's luring him in, and then as soon as he scares him into going the other direction, the other three of them are waiting, and they're going to beat the shit out of them. Hansen tries to foil the plan, of course, and says, just run past me. I won't hurt you. Doesn't work. The guy is ready. I think this whole area is aware that there's been several, again, the show calls it this, gay bashings in recent memory. So this guy's got a whistle, and he blows it and runs the other way. And then there's a violent mob that comes out of Milestones, and they're all ready for blood, which that's fair.
This is my favorite part of the show because they quickly find out that after the whistle is blown, the gays have mobilized, and there's just an army of them
They're
coming
ready.
after them.
They're angry.
I would not go against an army of angry gays.
No, of course. I
No,
wouldn't go against an
no.
army of any angry.
Anything. Yeah.
No.
Angry
But I imagine
house
like
cats.
your uncle gathering a group of his friends and they would fuck people up.
When Jamie got
No
mad,
doubt.
he got strong.
Yeah, and like he was strong anyway, but also not an angry person you'd want to deal with.
He got that gay rage. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I can see that for sure. So,
No, Jamie was a pushover, to be honest, my uncle.
nah, I bet he beat some people
No,
up.
he was a pushover.
I bet he beat Johnny Depp up.
I wish he did.
So Hansen does get away from this, but all the crowd gets a really good look at him. He flees away in the car, and they get away. So we go back to the academy. Hudson is actually the voice of reason when they get back. He wants to stop doing what they're doing. He says, I don't think we should do this anymore. I'm not sure why we ever did. Demarest says, you know what, Hudson? I don't think so. I think you're being a bitch, and I think we should keep beating up gay people. At this point, we get the whole argument where they kind of come to a consensus.
And so what if they'd have called us, man, he's just a bunch of fags?
I just think we should shut down because a few gooks accidentally exploited a weakness in our strategy. How else are we supposed to learn, huh?
Hudson's right. We're shutting down until further notice.
Were any of the people that they were just attacking then Asian in any capacity?
I don't think so.
Because that's an Asian slur.
I'm not sure why
Is
he
that
used that
what
slur.
he says there?
I turned the captioning on.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I was wondering if he said goofs.
He says gooks, which
I'm
is
not
a
sure,
slur
though.
towards Vietnamese
It doesn't
Korean,
make
Asian
sense.
people.
It doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't.
Here, it was actually Hansen trying to persuade them not to stop because he doesn't feel like he's gotten enough information, I guess. So he doesn't want them to stop. And it was actually him trying to say, so what if they catch us? And Demarest also agrees. Hudson's the one who says, I don't want to. Adderley agrees. Again, Adderley's the leader. He says, we need to shut it down. So Hansen has failed to persuade them. We go back to the station after this, and we learn, as Harry, Judy, and Captain Fuller discuss the latest developments and the vigilante action that happened. They're concerned about this now. They're worried it's going to start involving crowds of people. This is really the tipping point for them. They're like, we got to act fast and stop this now. They don't have any descriptions of the latest crime scene except of Hansen, because he was the one who was on full display trying to get away.
Yeah, one of the guys looked a lot like the guy from Edward Scissorhands.
One of the guys looked a lot like Johnny Depp.
It's ironic, too, that Harry Truman here is so afraid of being gay, and he's wearing the shirt he's wearing.
Oh, okay. So you got an outfit.
Did you see it? It was like
I
a comic
didn't-
strip shirt.
There was a lot going on.
And then they had a conversation about his
maybe-
big gun for
Maybe.
way
Oh,
too
yeah,
long.
that was weird.
Because it was the 80s. Yeah, he's very worried someone will think he's gay, but he's
Well, maybe-
completely unafraid to attack multiple assailants.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Maybe he was still being the decoy character when he was wearing that outfit. Did you ever think about that? Maybe he
Could've
just
been.
got out of Milestones
That's
in
right.
the middle of the day.
Well, he bought himself
possible.
$1.50 banana, and he was set.
That's the main thing to get at Milestones.
It's just a banana restaurant.
They sell bananas and banana-related food and drink.
The big turning point here is that Fuller reveals that Denny has died from the injuries, the initial victim at the beginning of the show.
Oh,
He's dead. He didn't make it through it.
this took a hard turn. It's getting kind of rough. Maybe we should ease the tensions. a bit.
Okay, I think that's right.
Yeah, that's the right idea.
I'm going to skip ahead from Walker. We're going to come back to Walker with my last tension easing segment. And instead, let's go right to Xena, Warrior Princess. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but we watched that episode of Xena with Joxer and his twin brother,
I
Jet,
noticed.
the king of assassins.
I did remember that,
I was
despite
there.
forgetting it earlier this episode.
Well, I did mention that occasionally on Xena, they would have goofy disclaimers at the end of the episode, like no harpy was injured in the filming of this show. They had one on that episode. I didn't notice it, so I went back and looked at it. I'll read it to you. It says, due to the infliction of a severe wedgie, Joxer was slightly uncomfortable, but not seriously harmed during the production of this motion picture.
Damn it, because I am all for Joxer beating.
You're
Yeah, no, I'm disappointed in
anti-Joxer.
this.
Yeah, I get it. I am too. What about, are you anti-Jet?
Well, yeah,
Not as
ultimately, but not as much as Joxer.
Did you know we see Jace, the third brother, later
Oh,
in the series?
wow.
Okay, I assume that would
Sense
not
and
be
a J
paid off.
theme. Apparently, that's what they did.
Well, the gag in that, and once again, that one was in the 90s, still a lot of, maybe not anti-gay, but gay was played off as a joke.
Like, the idea of being gay is supposed to be funny.
And they did that in the episode we watched where Joxer and Jet were like, our third brother Jace, he's a little...
Right.
Well, we meet him later. It's a musical episode of Xena.
Oh, wow.
And they're sitting in this bar.
Good for
and
them.
No,
Was it Milestones?
It was Milestones. The musicians are playing a song, and they're playing terribly, really bad. And they're like, oh, everyone's tone deaf here in Greece. And then you start hearing this song kick in, and it's Dancing in the Moonlight by Van Morrison, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And they're like, wait a minute. Maybe one person isn't tone deaf. They go in the other room. Joxer's there, too. And slowly it's revealed that it's Jace, and he's singing Dancing in the Moonlight very flamboyantly. And Joxer's like, and he storms off.
Of course he does.
I'm tired of Ted Raimi being in this show so much, even though he's Ted Raimi. Wow. I did not think that they would earnestly bring Jace into this.
And then they did.
We know that Denny died from injuries, but Fuller's got more. He knows the intel from Penhall that Jackson covered for the cadets. We've got a real strong case against these three and against Jackson for covering for them. So
You know, I'm so sick of this fucking code bullshit they keep pulling. I'm going to be honest with you two.
All right.
We're good friends.
Yep.
If either of you beat a person
You would-
with
you
the
would
brink
turn
of
us
their
in.
death, I would turn you in immediately.
Yeah, you have
no
to.
hesitation.
You have to, because that would essentially mean, there's some sort of danger murder side.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Wait-
you could be next. You could be next.
I'm even less worried about that than just this to spitefully be like, really, asshole?
Yeah,
You're going to jail.
I thought I knew you, and now apparently you have some sort of ring that goes around beating up people different than you.
Once you learn someone's a murderer, I think it's safe to say you don't know them anymore.
Yeah.
It's safe to say.
Do you have something to tell us?
You know, I have never murdered anything except I do like to kill ants because they get in my kitchen. I kill them by the dozens.
I like to poison them.
You're like, you're dirty. Okay, we've discussed all this station part. It goes back to the academy. It's time for Pinhall to tell Jackson who he is. This is great. This is a great scene.
He's wanted to this whole episode.
So Jackson just thinks Pinhall's a cadet that's been kicked out, and he's at the shooting range. Pinhall confronts him. He's like, "Look, Pinhall, it'd be great if he was already calling him that." He's like,
knew his real name.
"Look, I'm sorry you got kicked out. I like you." He doesn't say that, but that's implied. I like you, but I can't help you. You know, you're done, and that's it. So Pinhall says, "Look, I don't need your help. I've already got a day job." Reveals the badge. And then Jackson's not that surprised. He's kind of like, "Well, you've been in here undercover this whole time. I bet Harrison, undercover, is a cop too, blah, blah, blah." And Jackson's got it all figured out. And he says, "Look, I won't reveal what you're doing, but I will not help you." This is where we find out where Jackson draws the line, where he's saying, "I won't do anything to sabotage your investigation. I won't tell everyone so that you die, but I'm not going to help you because the honor code comes first."
Look, Pinhall, the thing is, I operate by a code that will make me follow any man-made rule book and never think for myself.
Pinhall is not happy, and he gives him a big speech.
Look, somebody's dead. If you don't help, these guys are just gonna walk away from it. Come on, man, is that what you've learned here?
This academy has taught me honor.
That is my life. Most of these cadets will never see the inside of a real military academy. But I am going to the point. That's something you'll never understand.
Oh, I understand it all right. But you're wrong about where you're going. You're going to jail.
Hell yeah, Pinhall.
Yeah, I mean, he lets him have it, and I don't know what Jackson's thinking there, but we'll have time to talk about it at the end. So.
I'm going to West Point. It's okay. All I did was let a few people murder someone.
Arbitrary rules.
I keep my uniform straighter than anyone. Mommy says I'm great at it.
I've never told a lie, which is why my nose is so small.
As you can see,
I'm an accessory to murder.
That's true. As you can see, Pinhall is done at the academy. He's used up all his cards there. So he's back at the station, and he's telling Captain Fuller, Harry and Judy, presumably, that they have the situation figured out, but Jackson's not going to roll on anyone. So
I actually really liked this little attention to detail that Pinhall is like, yeah, I know he knows the truth, but he's not going to go tell his horrible murderous buddies because
he sticks up for him in that scene.
Yeah, he's so up his own ass with this code thing that he's not even going to protect himself.
I'll talk about this. I took that a little differently. I didn't like it, actually. Fuller is the one who told them what the honor code really means a long time ago. He reiterates it here. He says he's never going to say anything. We're never going to get that information out of him. So if we don't have the proof, we're not going to have it.
I think he says he's not experienced or old enough to understand
to him,
right
that's
from
all
wrong.
that matters.
So all that matters is this arbitrary honor code.
So he's also worried, this is like what Brian just alluded to, he's worried that Hanson's in trouble because what if this guy goes ahead and tells the bad boy group what happened and they're going to kill Hanson? Pinhall says, I trust Jackson. I know it sounds crazy, but I trust him. He's not going to do that. There's where I don't think that he was recognizing Jackson's weakness. I think he just liked him, and they played that inspiring music, and he said, I know it sounds crazy, but I trust the guy. Like, it sounded like they're trying to drill that theme into you. Jackson's a good person. He's just doing this honor code.
I totally took it the other way.
Jackson's a bad person.
Yeah,
so
or not that, like, the show was saying he was a bad person, but the show was saying he definitely is. But that the show was saying we can trust Jackson not to tell the bad guy trio
because of his own.
Because he told me I could trust him. And this guy is such a cardboard cutout of an entity that he doesn't even understand how to lie. He only understands how to withhold.
I would see that point if they weren't playing that music, the drum beat music, and he was saying, I know it sounds crazy, but I trust the guy.
Yeah, the music made me think the power team might show up.
Yeah, it just seems like they're trying to really remind you that Jackson's a good person underneath it all, which he's not at all. Cut to the scene at the academy. This is a really interesting thing where Hanson is intentionally trying to stir the bad cadets up by telling them he's got a newspaper article that Denny has died. He doesn't say that he knows it was them that did it, but he tells them he's dead and is clearly trying to work them up and get them to reveal themselves. This is a hilarious scene. The three cadets turn on each other. They scream on the shooting range in front of a lot of other people.
Just a ton of people.
About murder, about how they murdered. And this is, again, Hudson's the most concerned. He's saying, I didn't mean to kill anyone loudly while people are shooting guns around them.
He's probably just kidding.
They get into a big fight about whether it'll be okay or whether it won't be okay, while Adderley is very calm in the scene, has sunglasses on and stares calmly into the distance and says, it'll be fine. Jackson knows the honor code.
And he's right.
That's the big turning point, though. They all know that what they did killed someone. They didn't know that before.
It's a murder now. It's no longer just gay bashing. It's a murder.
We've turned the heat up on them, and that was a very clever thing by Hansen. Now we cut to a strange stadium of some sort.
Like the abandoned baseball field?
I don't know. It's just Woody and Adderley. Here's the big reveal of the episode. They are brothers. Woody and Richard Adderley, the leader of this gay bashing group, are brothers. They are related, and Rick has felt bad enough to where he wants a meeting with his brother. They have a conversation. They talk about the newspaper article. He says, that was your friend, right? And he says, yeah, it's my friend. It's someone I cared about deeply. They're going back and forth on this. They get into a little bit of a fight.
I don't understand how you do what you do.
You can't even say it. Come on, Ricky, say it. Say my brother's a fag.
I'm afraid of what happened to you might happen to me.
It's not hereditary, Ricky.
Well, I don't understand it.
Well, I don't expect you to understand it.
Damn it, Mom, I caught the gay.
I woke up and started sucking dick.
The general idea here is that Woody does actually talk some sense into Adderley, who is coming around. He wouldn't have approached his brother otherwise to it. He does admit, ultimately, this murder was something he was involved in. And Woody says, you know what the right thing to do is, and you need to do it. You need to turn yourself in.
And Woody kind of eases him into it, of hinting, like, do you know the people who might have done this?
And he just sits there silently.
And then, ultimately that leads to the admission.
Now, granted, I think that Adderley only had the meeting because he kind of wanted to get that off his chest.
Yeah, he must have.
He wouldn't have wanted to talk to him about it for no reason.
And we get the glimpse of him being, in the show's eyes, repentant in some way when he's like, I guess we should stop killing gay people.
Yeah, he feels a little guilty. Now, this was heavy. This is probably the big, heavy moment at this point in the episode. So let's ease the tension with my final lighten the mood moment. And it's from Walker, Texas Ranger.
Okay.
I'd like to play you guys a clip. I'm going to set this up. There's a little boy, Henry, I believe. Henry's a nerd. Looks a little like Brian Vaughn when he was a child. He's got his big, thick glasses, and I guess kids are teasing Henry. So Henry gets upset.
That's not nice.
Poor Henry.
Walker comes across Henry, who's actually standing on the roof of a building.
Okay.
I just want them to leave me alone.
You're not a freak, Henry, and I promise you, I'll get them to leave you alone. If you'll just come down. Please? Come on.
Henry! No!
Now, this is an audio medium, podcasting. Maybe you don't understand what just happened.
Oh, I think Spider-Man saved him, is what I got from that.
Henry hit the ground, and that was the end of Henry. And
I thought you were lightening the mood.
No, I wanted to make the mood worse. I revealed my plan.
Also,
I hope the episode ended that way.
I don't know what else happened in the episode. I just know the little boy plunged to his death.
That is absolutely awful.
Yeah, Walker was like 20 feet away, and he ran, and he couldn't get him in time.
I really have to ask, how is Walker going to make sure they left him alone? Was he going to beat the shit out of some kids?
Probably, yeah.
It seemed like he was threatening that.
He almost did it as that principal.
That was
a lot of kids get beat up in Walker.
You were very unsuccessful in your attempt to lighten the mood.
I never said I was good at any of this.
But that's okay, because we're close to the end of this one, and then we'll have a much darker tone next week. I hope you're good at your job then.
Hold on, I got to pour one out for Henry.
We're almost done here. Woody challenges his brother. Somehow, I don't know how they would be related, but he challenges his brother to turn himself in. And then we're back to the academy where Hansen gets his turn to confront Sergeant Major Jackson.
Bop.
This is wow. This is a similar sort of thing where Jackson's not budging. And Hansen's basically saying, look, if you don't do this, you're an accessory to murder. Your life is over, essentially. That's it. Jackson's polishing a shoe. He doesn't give a fuck.
He's just polishing his shoe, repeating West Point over and over.
And he does know that Hansen is an undercover operative as well. He's
Hansen,
got that.
you've never been inside the Point.
21 Jump Street made a point
The Point.
to get me to root for Johnny Depp, and they did that by putting him in a room with the most insufferable twat I've ever seen.
And yes, he has a big speech. He lashes out about hate crimes to Sergeant Major Jackson. I insist on calling him by his full name, which is Sergeant Major Jackson. But yeah, he tells him what's next: the blacks, the Jews, something like that.
Some arbitrary label.
And he tells him, if you're not gonna turn these people in, go ahead and call Commandant McGee right now and turn yourself in because you are going to be arrested for conspiracy to murder. So Jackson says, I already called him. I don't really understand this.
This is the point for me where it takes a hard left. I don't know what happens from here on out.
I honestly think
I think
Jackson was just ready to turn himself in because he's not giving him up. However, none of this is necessary, as you know, because the very last scene is an odd outdoor ceremony where Adderley, the battalion commander, which I guess he is, leads his little group of bad boys
with their guns
and swords and turns themselves in to Jackson.
So here's how I can see this. I can see this one of two ways. One, Jackson finally got a conscience, decided to turn them and told them.
I don't think that's what happened.
I don't think so either. Told them about that, and then they said, "Okay, we'll take care of it."
I think the Adderley Woody scene with his brother
turned him in.
He did it on his own. So Jackson never did a fucking thing, in my opinion.
Agreed, which makes him the villain in this show.
He is an awful person, and they tried to give him the easy way out. And I'm sorry, Brian, we're not letting you get in on this. How much do you like Jackson right now?
He's a piece of shit, and I really think he didn't do anything here. Adderley and his group turned themselves in for what they did. Because they turned themselves into Jackson, are we supposed to think that Jackson just gets to keep this little secret that he allowed it?
Yeah,
well, they're also like, okay, please turn in your weapons. You guys you're confined to the mess hall. But essentially that's still saying they're not guarding them. They're still free in a sense. So
you
it's
committed
trusting.
a murder.
Yeah. They should be in custody.
We're relying on murders to have a conscience
Yeah.
for anything to ever be justice. That's a very bizarre thing. It's letting Jackson off easy. He didn't have to change the honor code because they're saying that was what mattered to him, and in the end it worked out. I hate that. I hate that concept so much.
There's no scenario where Jackson should even be looked at as someone with the judgment to be in the military or honestly, with our current code of how things work, or be a free man.
Adderley looked a lot like Michael Fassbender here.
Oh, yeah.
To the point where I fully expected him to move metal with his mind or discover a xenomorph
Whip out
or
a
something.
big penis.
Yeah, that too. I forgot about that.
Be Steve Jobs.
Invent the iPhone.
No, I think we've gone on quite enough about this one, but I have a few quick things we'll talk about, which is obviously my main takeaway was I don't know if you guys agree. It doesn't sound like you necessarily do, Brian. It sounds like they wanted to make Jackson a good guy when he was the worst person in the show. And the second thing is I wondered how you guys felt about how they did handle it. I know you had some thoughts, Van, that the intention was good, but the execution was bad. So I want to talk about how they presented Jackson and how they did all of this for that time period, keep in mind. So if you guys want to just weigh in.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not a military guy. None of us are. So I don't know about the accuracy of their actions. Is this honor code really what the military guys go by? I could see that being true.
Makes sense.
I think it's like anything, military or a corporation.
It's tribal mentality.
Yeah.
Right.
It's your people around you, and everyone else is the villain.
Yeah,
That's
even
always
your
what
At
family
the cost
members.
of being a good person?
It's absurd.
Yeah.
But it felt organic. It felt real. It felt like this could happen. Maybe not to this degree, but this felt like something that could happen. Now, as we've said multiple times, as far as the message of the show, it's a good message. Don't beat up gay people. We're all the same.
Or anybody. Don't beat up anybody.
Yeah, because they do branch out and say, look, it's these labels that don't mean anything.
Sure. And it start with here, what's next?
But I agree. I really don't think Sergeant Jackson had a conscience. His story is a bad story.
Why did they let him off so easy? Why did the writers make him into... So you don't feel that way? You feel like the writers were definitely trying to make Jackson bad all along?
No, not at all. Yeah, I think that they were trying to, at times, show how false false his code was, but the ending lets him off. They do always lighten what he's done. In a sense of like, oh, but you didn't actually get your hands dirty.
They
and it's like,
explain it away.
Yeah, but you did though. You totally
You were a part of this.
You knew what happened, and you just said, oh well, I'm going to the point, and that's fucked up. And I think the show lets essentially. I mean, I think at the end, we might potentially be left to believe that Jackson is still headed to West Point to
Yes, and
follow
I think
his
he
dream.
is. I think he's supposed to be untarnished by all this.
Which also, I understand Adderley and the crew turned themselves into him.
But that should still come back on Jackson that he
It
did
has
not
to.
reveal them.
Also,
That's bullshit.
Penhall and Johnny Depp know this.
What a chicken shit ending that Jackson is just okay with not revealing
they get him
murder.
away with a hand slap like, boys will be boys, kids make mistakes. And it's like, no, this is different than that.
I really actually thought that the story, the way they were acting and pushing it, that Jackson was going to be gay and he would end up hitting on Penhall.
That would have been interesting.
I really thought that because they
Wow.
had a very...
You're quite on a different level than the 21 Jump Street writers right here. They should
were
have hired
coy
you.
with one another. That's their relationship. They were
Interesting.
constantly talking to one another. I thought that was what was going to happen. Then there would be a whole conflict with that. It didn't, obviously.
Yeah, that would have been really quite a wrinkle in the show. I just think they definitely had to do that because there was a bond between them. But Jackson, that's what's supposed to underscore. Jackson is a nice person. According to the writers, he's not. But according to the writers, he's a nice person, but he takes the army duties first. That's all that was.
He's just confused. He's not old enough, as I think
he's not
you said.
confused. He's fucking sure of what he's doing, piece of shit.
I believe it's, is it the captain, the police captain, who even mentions, like, well, he's just young.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
as if that has anything to do with...
I think it was either him or Trudy.
Because there's never an age I've been where if my buddies were like, hey, we went out and beat someone to death, where I'd be like, cool, welcome back. I'll make sure you get punched in on time.
It's an awful concept, and I was quite upset by the fact that they skirted around that issue. The writers did not make Jackson pay for what he did wrong. The villains did because they turned themselves in. Because all bad people do that. What a nice, convenient ending there.
I almost don't like that either.
No, it's stupid.
The idea that
no one does that. They would try to get away with it.
Yeah, that the military trio gets to have some sense of
you're
warm
honorable
glow.
for admitting that you killed someone.
Yeah, like these guys have realized the wrong of their ways, and it's more like I think they realize they have no way out of it.
It was just messy.
Yeah.
It was very messy.
The ending was very upsetting to me, and I put my note was like the honorable thing all around with like 4 exclamation points. How did this happen? Why is this what the writers thought? This lets everyone off the hook here. Now we're solved here. It's like
I feel like the writers just right away said, we've done enough by saying that you shouldn't beat a gay man to death in the streets.
So now let's let everyone off
Yeah,
easy.
We're good here.
Let's let Sergeant Major Jackson off easy for covering the murder. Let's let these murderers off easy. They're reformed now. They'll be fine. I cannot possibly tell you how much the end of that episode is troublesome to me, where my heart is just racing right now thinking about it. But
I think what they wanted to do was to say that having convictions is honorable too. And I really do think that's what they meant to say, because Sergeant
I
Dipshit
agree, but
had convictions.
Could you do it a worse way than they did?
No, he was horribly done.
No, this is the kind of guy, Sergeant Major Jackson, who might go to your house when you're a kid and try to reorganize your Legos or something.
Who do you hate more, Alf or Sergeant Major Jackson?
Oh, that's
Sergeant
not
Major
close.
Jackson.
I mean, Alf at least is trying to do the right thing. He's stupid.
Look, I mean, Alf's not homophobic.
Okay.
I don't think.
Who do you hate more? Joxer or Sergeant Major Jackson?
Still Sergeant Major Jackson.
It
still
yeah,
is.
He's the worst
He's
character
granted,
of all.
if Alf ate one of my cats, I would probably say Alf was worse.
That's fair. Yeah.
I don't think we should go any deeper into this for now, because I'm just going to get madder. So let's not talk about this anymore. We will reconvene and have what I think is going to be the most challenging episode of Boob Tube Boys yet coming up later this week. I hope Van is up to the task of lightening the mood. We will do our best, and we will be sensitive, because we were sensitive, right? Like, don't you think we did a good job, guys?
Yeah, I actually think this one might be more difficult to discuss.
I'm not going to pat myself
You
on the
think
back
so?
like you guys. I think we did all right. But
I think we
you're
did
over
great.
here like, oh, we're so good.
I think-
Best podcast ever.
I mean, I just said yeah.
Exactly, asshole.
Well, so that's it for this time. For Brian and Van, I'm Spencer Hendricks. You don't need another last name, just know mine. And we will get back at you later in the week with the worst episode we'll ever cover on the show.
Down on Jump Street.
that in there. That would be weird. Okay.
Okay. Let's do this shit. He's just upend everything and storm out.
All right.
Spencer-sized hole in the garage wall.
Without further ado, let's begin